Hello there, and welcome back to Life Chats with Friends. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. Happy holidays to all of you that took the time to tune in today. I'm joined here by Laman Ben-Trahoret, who is a wellness advocate, who is a wellness coach, a life coach. I will let him introduce himself a little in a little bit, but today what we're really here to talk about, as many of you are moving through the holiday season, we're really looking to sit down to explore how you can maintain gratitude while navigating the complexities of family dynamics during the holidays. And it's recognizing that, there may be challenges in setting boundaries and managing expectations and finding peace even when things aren't fully resolved. You'll hear some real-time reflections and insights on how to embrace gratitude in the midst of imperfect family relationships, along with some practical takeaways. Again, so excited to have you here with us today, Laman, and to say that this is not your first time on the show, so welcome back to you as well. I'd love if you would be able to, just open up, share a little bit more with us about who you are, your experience, and in our preparation for this as well. You'd mentioned that you are going through and on your own journey of continued growth, development, evolution in your own practice. So if you'd be able and willing to let us a little bit into that experience as well, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Antonio. It's been quite a while since we've done these, but it's my third one, so I think I can, I'm smooth now. But absolutely, I'm very happy to be here to discuss things that I continue to be passionate in and continue to learn in, and be a forever learner when it comes to emotional health, mental health, and how that really connects back to our physical well-being and our holistic sense of life and self. A quick catch up on where I've been since we last chat. I am in Arlington, Virginia. I am a personal trainer, stretch specialist, and now pending wellness coach through Duke University, where I went and did that program. And by next year, I hope to be a national board health and wellness coach. The journey has been very transformed. I wouldn't say transformative, but I would say the journey has taught me so much about where I am and how to just be and how to appreciate the small steps that we make going towards, that inroad on that definition of self. So I am honestly humbled that you have me back. You have built a great community with Live Chats with Friends, and I'm just so happy to see everything that you've been able to build and continue doing to elevate this platform and these types of conversations.
Thank you so much. And I so appreciate everything that you bring to the table, your perspective. It's always a rich discussion and conversation with you, and I'm really happy that we can continue bringing you back to share those insights, to share your perspectives with our guests. So let's dive right into it. Again, as I'd mentioned, we are in the heat of the holiday season, and this can be a really tough time for a lot of people, both emotionally, physically, financially, as they're not only navigating family dynamics, but just navigating everything that the holidays have become. And so if we drill a little bit deeper into family dynamics themselves during the holidays, understanding that they can be a little bit tricky, can you talk about what your experience has been so far in balancing the emotions that come up around family gatherings?
Yeah, the holidays is such a tricky one because it's a date on a calendar that says, hey, feel a certain type of way, or you should be feeling this way or doing this, being with this person. And so naturally they evoke a bunch of emotions when we don't necessarily have that stereotypical or TV moment, hallmark moment, and some negative emotions might soon, or sometimes we're seeking these positive emotions. We want to ride this high of what, being with family should be, but knowing that everyone in the family comes with their own quirks, right? When their own
Oh
different,
yeah.
we all have that relatives, we all have that auntie,
The sneaky
who,
aunt, the drunk
who,
uncle, you name it.
who's saying something that we know was that a sly comment?
Yeah.
Was that intentional? Did that take that the wrong way? So over the years, I've definitely built up thick skin in terms
Mm,
of where I am and energetically when it comes to dealing with family
mm,
dynamics, when we're all at the dinner table or we're all being together. And it's also a political year, so people also have opinions on that. But I would say for me, it's mostly just knowing that it's never linear, right? Just
mm,
because um, the holiday states that you have to feel a certain type of way or do a certain type of thing with these particular sets of people. It's important to have make positive emotions with the tribe and the people that you have chosen to be with, that recognize you as family, recognize you as, give you a sense of acceptance, a sense of warmth.
mm,
Family and the emotion that comes from family comes in so many different ways. So um, the more you are present with the people that you're with, the more that you have that sense of certainty and calm. And I think that's a really powerful
mm,
and beautiful thing. I know for me personally, the process hasn't been linear. We are so much ingrained in what we have done for, in our early lives when we were kids or when we were teenagers, when we graduated college, and then we find ourselves as adults, kind of creating those own moments for ourselves. So it's
mm.
very important to lean into what we're creating and take the best of what we had, and just continue to build off of that foundation so like that we can get to the core of those holiday moments, which is emotions of giving, family, togetherness.
I love that. And I do think too, family in my understanding of family, like family, especially around the holidays, will being in the presence of your family will always show you where you are in your own journey. So can you enter those spaces and still be your most authentic self? Or do you feel like you have to shy away or play small to make other people feel comfortable with this version of you that they're still holding on to, or that they think they're still interacting with? And so, yeah, kind of building on that question for you, as you've been going through this journey, what have you learned about setting boundaries, even if you haven't fully figured them out yet?
Yeah, boundaries. It's a long word. It's a long word, and it's
All
something
bold.
that it's 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 interesting because boundaries, we kind of say it's a line in the sand. The
Mm.
thing about sand is usually you just swipe over it and then the line is
Move
gone.
on.
Um, but no, something about boundaries is that you have to set your own
Mm,
boundaries and respect them before you can expect anyone else to do that. Sometimes we have boundaries and they're crossed, but we're not really steadfast in those boundaries, or when they are crossed, we don't acknowledge that, we have felt a certain type of way, kind of introducing the opportunity for those negative emotions to come in. And I'm not saying like give a consequence for a person to give consequences for people who step across your boundaries, but
mm,
are you secure and steadfast in the fact that you have created this boundary, and that
mm,
might possibly mean not engaging,
mm,
that might possibly be just being firm in that you feel a certain type of way, um, even sometimes not stating in that moment that you were hurt,
mm,
or acknowledging at a later point through a message or through a conversation that, hey, this is a boundary and that you've crossed it. And
mm,
a lot of the time when it's our family, the common term is just like, well, I raised you, I did this, I did
mm,
this. You are your own person, and you have
mm,
your own life experiences. And oftentimes, and I can only speak for me coming from an immigrant background, right? Being like the first person of my family to go to college, to speak English at this level, to have a business at a young age, that, there's still a sense of, they know me better than I know myself. And
mm,
it's important then that when you do set your boundaries, you lean into those, and you're confident, you're secure in them. Um, so like that, you don't jeopardize your own sense of integrity,
Mm.
and that's really important because no one wants to leave a holiday feeling that they gave up on themselves or people didn't show up for them.
Mm. So I feel like, yeah, setting boundaries or thinking about how you implement and stand in your own power as you're thinking about boundaries. Sometimes we don't always have clear answers when it comes to family, and that can at times feel uncomfortable, especially as it relates to boundaries. And so, how have you been coping, or how have you coped with the idea that things may not always be fully resolved when you're sitting at the dinner table, or you're, standing in your power and saying like, no, this is me, this is who I am. Like, I've set this really firm boundary, and that other person may have some sort of emotional reaction or say something to make you try to feel a certain way. Like, how do you cope and move through those instances?
That is such a good question because that is something I'm actively still working on. I believe we're all projects. We're all on our
Mm.
path, and that is a healing journey. That is a journey of discovery, and each moment we put ourselves in those situations, we have the power and the energy to remain at neutral. When I mean by neutral is remaining at a neutral energetic state where if a person expresses emotions of fear, distrust, disgust, or things that dehumanizes us, we find refuge and comfort in the people that give us love, that give us energy.
Mm.
And this could be in the form of calling a best friend that you
Mm.
might not necessarily see because you're with your family. But that person has given you a sense of family, or calling a cousin who can be there, or a teacher that has given you that sense of family that you can communicate, that can give you that warmth. Oftentimes, when we're in big groups with our family, it's always the expectation of, well, this is how things were before,
Yeah.
and you are like this now, therefore you were the issue. When in reality, like I said, we're all on this journey and this path together. And sometimes people understand that, kids, youth are there to teach you about yourself so you can
Mm.
breathe the newness of the moment, the newness of life, of the generation, and the discoveries that we have collectively made as a society, but
Mm.
that you can also do with the person in your life right here. And I think where people get confused is the possession that people place on their family members, and
Mm.
I think that might be prevalent a lot in immigrant communities. And just like, since you are my offspring, like you're an extension of me. This is a possession to
Therefore,
like
yeah.
help me rank higher.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important, the work that I see myself doing when it comes to wellness and health coaching, and
Mm.
working in partnership with people to get
Mm.
themselves at a neutral energetic level so they can actually achieve their goals and just stand in their confidence. It's so important that we continue to talk about the fact that these are hard conversations, and sometimes you're not going to get through to a person at
Yeah.
a 2-hour dinner, right? Your life is not a Hallmark Channel holiday movie. It is not made for TV. It's very much personalized,
Yeah.
and um, the more you can just remember that and lean into the rituals and the circles that give you that feeling of family, that feeling of the true intention of the holiday,
Mm.
um, the better. And those might come in like small little moments. If you can share a laugh with like a relative that has said something, or if you can listen, instead of dwelling in negative emotions that might take you off of neutral, like
Mm.
recognize that, okay, that was a statement that was said to me. I am not that statement. I am not that label.
Mm.
I am a whole person,
Mm.
and there are other aspects that can fill my cup just as much.
And so with that, and kind of thinking about that, even with the challenges, do you find that there are things that you are still grateful for, you know, as it relates to family relationships, kind of thinking through or getting back to the point that all families aren't perfect and that messiness is kind of expected and you may not have it all figured out. Is there a place where you still feel gratitude for your family and for the experience that you share over the holidays?
Absolutely. And I think it's really cherishing those small moments, and those small moments could be a direct message on Instagram when I post something with a family member who's abroad. Like I said, most of my extended family, they're not here. They're in the Ivory Coast. They're in Europe. So even getting those messages and taking time to just call them, it might not be their Thanksgiving, but something that my mom would always do is that on Thanksgiving, she would call, our aunts and uncles and say, Happy Thanksgiving. It wasn't the fact that, they didn't celebrate it. It was the fact that in that moment, she was practicing gratitude. And it could be a person that has just given you family. It could be a best friend. It could be a teacher. It could be a mentor. Those fill up your cup, and those bring you back to a neutral energetic state, and even an elevated energetic state when you feel like, oh wow, like I was put really down by a person so directly, and we see it as a boost to our character, but in reality it's a reflection on them, right? And so the more we can just hold the mirror and do that by asking questions, being curious, or disengage when we know it's not going to serve us, the better. So I know for me, just really leaning into those small moments have given me a sense of gratitude, and leaning into my rituals that give me gratitude, whether that be yoga or just small things I do around the holidays. I have a tradition of making this dish that I always make around the holiday time. It's like this cornbread thing. And it's really good, but it's like these small things are memories that I can make for myself, and I can share, and I can pass on to a generation that's positive, instead of where I've been in the past where, oh, it's the holiday. I remember that one holiday when it wasn't the scene on TV. It wasn't the moment that it was promised to be, because somebody said a comment that I found disrespectful, or somebody made me feel uncomfortable. There is newness in every opportunity of these days to reshape and rethink their meaning and make them more inclusive and more representative of everyone. And I think that's where we're working towards. It's so easy to just feel cemented to kind of the feelings we've had in the past and the thoughts and opinions that other people have based on their preconceived notions.
Yeah.
But remember, we're not cemented, we're actually rooted, and we actually get to grow into the trees that we want to be.
I think the only thing I would add to that is the more that we continue showing up in our own authenticity over time, by not compromising that in these situations or moments when we are with our families, by continuing to show up in that way, we are actually in very subtle ways shifting perceptions over time. And so it may not be this holiday, it may not be the next one, but the one after that, you might find somebody that you wouldn't expect, or that you didn't think was capable of change, like starting to ask the right questions, or starting to open up, or starting to see you in a different light. And that is just it's understanding that it takes time. It's getting people to see you in a certain way, to see a certain situation. It does take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. And understanding too that a lot of what people might be projecting at you is things that they're carrying with them from their own lived experiences that are rooted in pain and traumas. And so it's not always something that has to do with you. And if you can separate yourself from that situation, that's a totally different way to navigate your family experience, where you can still have gratitude for the time that you're spending with each other, but not being attached to the outcome of, the time that you've spent and shared together during those moments. And so, Laman, for you, if there's one thing that you've learned in this moment of your journey, and looking at this holiday season that we're in right now, what would you share with others who might feel like they're in a similar place with their own family dynamics?
The one thing I would share is that it's not linear. It doesn't have to happen on the day. It doesn't have to happen in that year. It's about those small moments of intimacy and of growth, no matter how relatively seemingly insignificant they seem. They go a long way. So lead with love and lead with compassion. And it's hard, especially sometimes when we feel like we've been so hurt, or we feel like we've been left out in the cold, or we just overall just feel misunderstood. Um, have patience with yourself in the journey, and that it will all be revealed at the end. And your boundaries are not brick walls that stay up for forever. Your boundaries are gates that open and close when you choose to open and close them. So that would be my little tidbit of advice.
Very poetic, and I love that. Laman, thank you so much for once again being here. You always bring this different level of authenticity to the show, and just in how you're able to articulate and share your experience. I'm always just in awe and inspired. So thank you so much for that. Before we go, I do have some rapid fire questions for you, and then I'd love for you to share a bit more with folks about where they can find you, and then if you'd be willing to talk a little bit more about your business as well and things that you're growing and building in your offerings. I think all of that is great. But before we get into that, the first question for you is your question number one. Your favorite part of the holiday season
My,
is.
the favorite part of the holiday season for me is the shift in foods that we eat. I just enjoy the gathering of people eating different types of foods. Everyone kind of trying to pitch in to make things. I also try new recipes, and I want to spread that joy. So being able to try new dishes and add my own health twist or my own je ne sais quoi, to it is really fun for me.
Nice. And family to you means?
Family to me means just being present. And it can be as small as a text message, an audio message, just really checking in. And you're not going to agree with your family on everything, but you're not going to agree with everyone in this world on everything. But it's those family members, those people in my life that give me the spirit of family through their efforts. That's what family means to me.
Your biggest aha moment or learning this year has been?
There is so much power in knowing how to ask the right questions, and exuding patience with yourself, with your journey. I think both are key in self-discovery and overall achievement.
And what are you reading right now that you would highly, highly, highly recommend?
I am actually reading a coaching book called Coaching the Person, that was recommended to me by a fellow coach. This has been introduced into my life at the point where, as I indicated earlier, I'm seeking my national board certification as a health and wellness coach. And in the past, where we seek answers, but I think it's the old thing. You're seeking answers to questions you don't know yet. So it's been good to kind of learn how to pose questions, how to pause, and just kind of learn this whole new dimension of conversation that can help me be more present and serve as a guide.
Amazing. And then I'd love if you'd be able to tell us a little bit more about your business, what you're building, the expansion of your offerings, and then where can people find you bi-coastal. If they'd like to work with you, if they'd like to learn more, if they'd like to follow you, where can they find you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Live Laman. You can find me on LinkedIn at my full name, Laman Ben-Trahoret. In terms of my business, it has grown and evolved. I started off as a personal trainer, and now I'm a personal trainer, a stretch specialist, and a wellness coach. So all those
Got my back
dimensions,
right.
right? So all these things really just give, it's, I've naturally been interested in these aspects of life, these aspects of the human spirit, and I am ready to share that and partner with people to help them achieve their goals, and continue to learn while I'm in this. In terms of personal training, I offer online training to anywhere in the world and in the country. I have clients on the West Coast, on the East Coast, in the Northeast, in the Southwest, you name it. Anyone who's looking for that guide and partnership in a regimented way where they can learn about their fitness and have the structure to succeed. You can get more information on that through my website. And that goes forth with stretch therapy. I do stretch therapy here locally in Arlington, Virginia. So anyone in the DMV area that is looking for one-on-one work with their flexibility, mobility, maybe you are working a lot and you're noticing shifts in your body in terms of tightness, soreness, and you want to address that, I offer that as well. And anyone, anywhere who's looking for a coach to work in partnership with them to help them achieve their goals. And that's any goal. It doesn't have to be solely on your health. We can cover financial wellness. We can talk about environmental wellness, how to move from point A to B, and demystify the boundaries that you have placed in front of yourself and really see, take that golden ticket all the way to the castle. So
Yes.
I'm immensely grateful for where my journey has taken me in terms of the knowledge that I have and the secret sauce that I'm developing for myself. And I want to share that with anyone who is willing to.
And yeah, Laman is amazing. I would highly recommend. Great character, great personality, great person to be around and to work with. Thank you so much, Laman, for taking the time, for creating the space to continue pouring back into this community. Third time on the show. We love you. We so appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you on the other end that decided to tune in, that stuck around for this entire conversation, getting to this point. Happy holidays to you. Please do enjoy this time with your family. We've shared a lot of practical tools, tips, insights here with you today, things that you can take away with you and begin to practice, put into practice as you're navigating your own family dynamics. I will see you in a couple weeks, and I'm sending you much love. I will talk to you real soon. Peace.
Thank you.